When guarded architect Lena Rivera agrees to one blind date, she doesn't expect to feel anything, especially not a spark, with charming travel writer Eli Grant. Their connection is instant, intense, and cut short when Lena vanishes without a trace by midnight. Months later, Eli pens a viral article about the one that got away, never expecting Lena to read it or respond. But when she does, they're pulled back into each other's orbit, where unfinished feelings collide with secrets from Lena's past. As Eli prepares to leave the country, and Lena is forced to confront the man who once broke her heart, she has 48 hours to decide: run from love again, or finally run toward it. This is a story you will want to sit back and enjoy. Before we start, I would like you to subscribe, like, and comment on this video from where you are watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. Let us begin. I don't believe in second chances, Lena said, swirling the last inch of red wine in her glass. So, good thing I'm only asking for one night. Eli Grant raised his brows, charmed and disarmed. One night of what, exactly? Lena gave him that look, half amused, half guarded. It was her signature expression, the one she wore when she didn't want anyone to get too close. Dinner, a drink, maybe a story, but nothing past midnight. He leaned back, studying her under the dim, golden light of cello, the Italian fusion place her sister had dragged her to. Like Cinderella, but sassier, and more likely to ghost you, she replied. Eli laughed, not offended. That was what threw her. Most men either tried to challenge her walls or walk away. Eli just sat comfortably in front of them, like he had all the time in the world. They talked for hours about their worst first dates, favorite books, dreams that never made it past high school. Lena didn't mean to open up, but Eli had a way of drawing out the rawest parts of her with disarming ease. By the time the waiter cleared the table, she had already decided she liked him too much to let this become real. When he offered to walk her to her car, she hesitated. "Do I get your number?" he asked, tilting his head. "Or was I serious when I called this the best first and last date of my life?" Lena smiled, then leaned in and pressed a kiss to his cheek. "No number," she whispered, "but thanks for reminding me that people like you still exist." And then she walked away into the dark, into the night, and into the story Eli would one day write. Eli had written hundreds of columns. He'd filed stories from rooftop cafes in Prague, street markets in Hanoi, and sun-bleached bungalows in Tulum. But this one, the one about the woman with storm-cloud eyes and a midnight smile, had taken him a month to finish. He didn't even pitch it. He just wrote it, like bleeding out a memory, a whisper of a night he couldn't let go. He called it The Last First Date. No names, no details that could trace back to her except one, a tiny inside joke tucked in the middle of a sentence, barely noticeable unless you were looking for it. She said she preferred bookstores to bars, because paper never lied to her. I told her I preferred people who spoke like poetry. She said, "Then you'll hate me by dessert." I didn't. He hit send at 1:03 a.m. and immediately regretted it, but the next morning, his editor loved it, called it vulnerable, honest, the kind of story that gets people talking. By the end of the week, it was everywhere. Retweeted, reposted, DMs, full of strangers asking if she'd ever come back. They called it romantic, tragic. Some thought he made her up, but she was real. And 3 miles away, Lena Rivera was staring at the article on her phone with shaking hands. She hadn't recognized the title at first. It was a friend who forwarded it to her, with the message, "Is this about you?" At first, she almost deleted it, but the second she read bookstores over bars, her heart stopped. It was him. It was Eli. The world had called him poetic, and God, he was, but she hadn't expected him to remember that much, or care, or write it down. Lena closed the article and paced the floor of her apartment, half tempted to throw her phone into the sink. Why did this hurt? Why did it feel like a thread had been tugged loose in her chest? She didn't owe him anything. She hadn't promised a call, hadn't lied about who she was. She just left. But then her fingers moved on their own. She found the contact page for the publication. Subject line: Ray, the last first date message. I still think bookstores don't lie. But maybe I do. Elsa stared at it for a long time. Then, before she could stop herself, she hit send. Eli didn't sleep that night. He'd stared at the email, read it, reread it, paced his kitchen, stared again. It was her. Had to be. The message was short, almost cryptic, but he knew the signature. He remembered that L like a fingerprint. So he replied. Not right away. He waited 6 hours. Didn't want to seem desperate even though his chest felt like it was on fire. His reply. I never hated you by dessert. I still don't. That kicked off 3 days of slow, cautious correspondence. No big questions. No pressure. Just two people dancing around the edges of something they didn't name. They talked about their lives, the cities they loved, the food they missed. Lena never mentioned why she left that night. Eli didn't ask. On the 4th day, he told her he was in town for a few weeks researching a new series on urban renewal projects. Her reply came 12 minutes later. There's a bookstore on Grant and 5th. Sunday, noon. They make terrible espresso, but the poetry section makes up for it. Sunday came fast, and there she was, same leather jacket, same unreadable eyes, but different. Somehow like life had chipped away some of the perfection and replaced it with something raw, more real. Hey, Eli said, trying not to sound too relieved. You showed, she said, as if he might not have. I would have come even if the espresso was radioactive, she smirked. Still charming. They walked the aisles in slow circles. He pulled out a Neruda collection, she countered with Worcestershire. They didn't mention the article, not the kiss on the cheek, not the fact that she vanished after a perfect night. But as they sat on a sagging couch between poetry and philosophy, Lena's voice softened. You ever think about what might have happened if I hadn't left? Eli looked at her for a long second. I don't have to think about it. I still feel it. Lena looked away, blinking fast. She didn't explain herself that day. But when she hugged him goodbye longer this time, tighter, he knew something had changed. He just didn't know what yet. It was a week later when Eli saw him. A man in a navy coat, tall, familiar. He was standing with Lena outside a Thai place, laughing like he belonged. And Lena was laughing too. Eli ducked back behind a car before they could spot him. He felt like someone had kicked the air out of his lungs. Back at his place, he didn't text her, didn't write, just sat at his laptop, a blank document, open and useless. She messaged him the next morning. Hey, sorry I've been quiet. Crazy day yesterday, he typed. You don't owe me an explanation, but he deleted it. Instead, he called her. She answered. You saw him, didn't you? She said softly. Eli didn't reply. That's my ex, she added. The one I was engaged to. Now he spoke. Is that why you disappeared that night? She was quiet. Then, I'd just broken things off with him when I met you. But he'd begged to meet one last time. I told myself I was over it, but I wasn't sure. Eli sat down. And now I'm trying to be. You don't need to try, he said. You just need to choose. Another pause. Then, I got offered a job, he continued. Freelance, but long-term. Berlin. I'd be gone in 48 hours. Her breath caught. Eli, I'm not asking for promises. I'm just asking for honesty. If he's still in the picture, say so. If I'm just another passing story, fine. But don't leave me in the middle of the page. He hung up before she could answer. Lena didn't sleep. She walked her apartment in circles, memories slamming into her from every wall. Her ex had shattered her once, promised a future, and then stolen it with one betrayal. After that, she'd sworn off men like Eli, men who felt too good, too honest, too hopeful. But hope wasn't a lie. She was just scared of needing it. By morning, she knew what she had to do. The flight to Berlin was at 4:40 p.m. She had one chance. She grabbed her coat, her keys, her courage, and ran. Eli stood at gate 14, backpack slung over one shoulder, headphones around his neck. One final call before boarding. Final call for flight 623 to Berlin. He checked his phone. Nothing. He turned toward the gate. Eli. The voice cut through the crowd like thunder. He spun. And there she was, hair windblown, cheeks flushed, a paper-thin poetry book clutched to her chest. I ran, she gasped. For you, he blinked. You hate running. I hate losing more. She stepped closer. I was scared, but not of you, of wanting something real again, of wanting you. Silence. Then she pressed the book into his hand. It was the Neruda one. Inside, underlined in ink, was a single verse. I love you as certain dark things are to be loved, in secret, between the shadow and the soul. Stay, she whispered. Or maybe it was come back. Maybe it didn't matter, because Eli dropped his bag and kissed her like he'd been holding his breath for a year. 1 year later, the bookstore on Grant and Fifth was under renovation, but the poetry section remained new shelves, same worn couch. Eli wrote from there now, when he wasn't traveling. Lena helped redesign the layout, volunteered to add a corner for stories worth waiting for, and if you walked in on a quiet afternoon, you might spot a leather jacket draped over the couch's arm, and a pair of lovers, heads close, reading Neruda aloud like it was scripture. The last first date had finally found its second chapter.